Perfect. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. For those that don't know me, my name is Jason. I am the chairman for the Chamber of Commerce for Kensington, Chelsea and Westminster. Before we get started today, just to welcome you all to a brand new year. Just to let you know, this is the first of our events for 2023. We've got some amazing stuff lined up for you. I just remind those that love a bit of in-face networking. Next Tuesday, we are at DeMario's restaurant. So for those that are lucky enough to have already booked your tickets, we look forward to seeing you there. And for those that haven't made it to the website yet, I'm sure if you send Nicola or Alicia a very nice, a very polite email and a box of chocolates, I'm pretty sure they'll find a ticket for you. We are so excited today to have Kuldip with us from Action Coach. And today's seminar, whether you're here on the call or watching it on YouTube, I think is a subject that everybody could do with knowing more about, which is setting powerful goals and enjoying high profitability this year, next year, and hopefully for many years to come. So, Kuldip, so happy that you've chosen to do this with us. Really excited to see what you've got to say, and I'll pass everything over to you.
Thank you so much. And likewise, I'm really grateful and excited to do this with yourselves. I met Alicia towards the end of last year, and like I was just, I'm assuming with everyone, the minute you meet her, you're like, yeah, whatever you want to do, I'm in. Like, she's an incredible person. And plus, you know, working with other business owners is what we do and what I do as well. So let me get into it. Bear with me 1 second. Can everyone see this clearly? Can you see this?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And can I just ask for everyone to please put your mics on mute throughout? If you just let me know once you've done that, that'd be perfect in the chat box. Just give it a yes or a thumbs up in case I can't see you. Awesome. Okay. So welcome, everyone. As you can see on the screen, today is all about you. Please do take notes. If you haven't got a pen and paper nearby or a device, please get one, because it's so important. I'm not sure of the science behind this, but it's pretty accurate. You will forget almost everything that we cover today. 97% of what we cover, you will forget within a week or two, unless you write it down. So if there's any light bulbs that go off, anything that really resonates with you, please make a note, doodle, sketch, whatever it takes. You're going to leave today with ideas on growth, scale, strategy, hopefully, how to set powerful goals and make more profits in your business. And as I've said, you will get out of this what you put in. I do expect participation from you. With this being a virtual event, I'm going to be asking you to participate, so please do put your hands up, put answers in the chat box. Don't be shy, because if you're thinking it, someone else most likely is as well. So please do make note of that, and please do participate. It's really important. I'm going to test this straight away. Answers in the chat box, please. If you could solve one problem in your business overnight, what would that problem be? Or challenge? What would that challenge be? Answers in the chat box, please. If you could solve one business challenge overnight, what would that be? Let's see what everyone comes up with. Personal motivation, a secure pipeline, profitability, marketing, staffing, staff retention and talent acquisition. Very interesting. More sales, staffing. Okay, excellent. So make notes of these. This is something that could potentially become a goal. If staffing and marketing and recruitment, all these things are challenges that you'd like to solve overnight, make a note of this, and perhaps some of the things that we covered today will resonate, and you can start setting goals around solving some of these challenges. But thank you everyone for participating and sharing there. To recap, goal setting and profitability, this is what we're going to be doing today, and this is what we will cover. What is a goal? Start from absolute basics, how to set a goal, how to implement goals, and the reason people do not hit them. Probably one of the most important things that we will cover today. So please do ensure that you stay for that. And the final part, probably what you're going to be waiting for the most, is how to have the most profitable year ever. But you will have to wait for it, because it is really important and powerful stuff. 5 key metrics. So just to give you an overview, why listen to me? Who am I? What am I about? My name is Kuldip Singhs. Most people know me as Cooks. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've got 3 businesses and I'm a full-time business coach. My story is very simple. I had a very short career in the city as a stockbroker, and my first business was deciding to build 152 apartments out in India where I didn't speak the language. My best friend was out there. His father-in-law was out there as a builder. We raised some money from investors and we built 152 apartments. I sold out of that business and started my own family business, which was making chili sauces. You can see here on the right-hand side, it's my dad, my brother, and us surrounded by chilies. We started in our garden shed, hand-picking chilies, buying them from Spitalfields Market, washing them in the bathtub, bottling them and selling them. It was a very, very exciting time of my life. We were on the TV, we were in the press, I was on the radio, BBC One. We were scaling, so we ended up supplying the likes of Selfridges, Harvey Nichols, Ocado, Tesco, Sainsbury's, I believe Asda as well. We were exporting out to New York, we were exporting to Paris, we were in South Africa, parts of Asia as well. And I managed to attract angel investors and crowdfunding as well. So it was a very, as I said, very, very exciting time of my life and something that I never thought I'd be doing. But I managed to start a business from my garden shed basically and scale it globally. So the reason I'm telling you this is because it was a very rapid and intense period of my life. As I said, I'd gone from a garden shed to having this business that was growing, and I didn't really know what I was doing, if I'm being completely honest with you. But really interestingly, I started to hate it. It was something that I started to resent. You can see here on the left-hand side, 10:17 p.m. in London on a Saturday night, and I'm celebrating and I'm posting it on our social media. I thought that that's what it meant to be a business owner. That's what it meant. You had to hustle, you had to grind. And my boss was an absolute lunatic, i.e. me. No days off, 18-hour days, no social life, bad health. If I didn't work, I didn't get paid. That was a very, very interesting one for me. It was stressful. And I had this kind of like hustler mindset that I had to be go, go, go. And there was ego involved as well. I even, our old house, you can see the picture in the middle, that's my brother. We used to use it as a storeroom and warehouse for our chili sauces. But what I realized was that I didn't want this life anymore and I wanted something else and I didn't know how. And I had to have some kind of mindset shift and get rid of some of my ego. And I stumbled across business coaching through a friend of mine. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is if you want to make changes in your life, you have to have fundamental changes in your mindset. And for me, it was coming across someone that could help me get the life that I wanted. And the changes were so profound, the lessons were so profound that on my first session on the way home, I booked my first 7-day holiday in 7 years. And you can see the picture on the right hand side. Luckily, my girlfriend, my wife now still liked me enough to go on holiday with me, and we had a great time. But that was the beginning of how I decided to change my life. And the reason I'm sharing this story with you is that I know what it's like on the other side as an entrepreneur. I've still got my businesses, and now I spend most of my time business coaching to help other business owners. And so moving on from this, these are the main areas of frustration, main areas of challenges that business owners face. And this should resonate with what you mentioned earlier in the chat box. So time is a big area of pain, not enough time. Team, so staffing, retention, finding the right staff, hanging on to the right staff, or you've got the wrong staff in place at the moment, what do you do about it? Money, so this is cash flow, profitability. Sometimes there's not enough money coming in, or there is money coming in, but it's not coming in for 6 months. And so what do you do to bridge the gap? And finally, marketing. Essentially, you're a really well-kept secret. Not enough people know about you. How do you get your name out there and start attracting the attention that you want and need for your business? So these are 4 areas that we coach on extensively in the business, but also common areas of frustration for almost all business owners. So I really love this first question because it was a big light bulb for me when it went off. But I'm going to ask you all, and please answers in the chat box. What is a business? What is your definition of a business? I'm really interested to see what everyone comes up with. Answers in the chat box, please. What is a business? Selling to make profit. Very interesting. Anyone else? Employing people and making a profit. Michael, thank you for that. Martin, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else just got question marks? Don't really know what the answer is. Serving people in the community. Interesting. Lubna. Jason, thank you. Providing a service or product that is attractive to companies. Very interesting. Okay, so this is what I was taught is the definition of a business, and I've now embraced it as the definition of a business. So please do make a note of this, because for me it was a massive light bulb. What is a business? A business is this: a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you. That's the definition of a business. Now, if you're a specialist, like maybe let's say you're an architect or you're a dentist, you may not want to have a business that works without you. So you can add the line if you wish. So a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you if you wish. That is what a business is. What is a business coach? Again, the reason I'm sharing this with you is if it resonates, then it's important for you to know. The business coach is basically an unreasonable friend who holds you accountable, someone that calls you out on your fluff when you need it to be called out, and is coaching the right thing for you. Mentorship and coaching, is it the right thing for you? Possibly. If you're someone that says, yeah, I know, yeah, but probably not. But if you're someone that says, go on, I'm listening, that's interesting, then it could be for you. Someone's just unmuted their mic. Can you please check your mic if your mic is on mute? Let's have a look. SJ, can I please ask you to mute your device?
I think it's Raffaella.
Oh, Raffaella.
Adesso mi metta un po'. Faccia lei, guardi.
You can mute
Nell'ultimo annetto,
people.
Oh,
You can actually mute people. You can
I've just
actually
done that. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So this is how we coach people to build businesses. Whether you choose to engage with us or not, it's okay. But it's important to note the different steps, because this is how you can build your business over a period of time. Typically, the first step, and this is where I was for actually a long time, is mastery. So it's eliminating chaos in your business. It's knowing where you're going, how you're using your time, how you deliver your product in your business. So I think probably the best example of this is McDonald's. They've got a consistent delivery method. Anywhere you go in the world, McDonald's is going to be delivered to you in the exact same way. You turn up, you place your order, it comes in a bag, and away you go. And then money mastery is understanding the money in your business. As you then start to level up, you start to develop your USP, your guarantee, lead generation, work on your conversion rate, profit margins, etc. This starts to give you predictable cash flow in your business. Then you start to develop more nuanced systems, so vision, mission, culture. So this is around staff retention, training, and so on, which starts to give you efficiency in your business. You then take it a level up and start working on the team further. So it's giving you that structure for growth in your business. You start to build synergy, which gives you a well-oiled machine. And then finally, you start to get those results from all the hard work that you're putting in to build your business. You get personal growth. You can start investing in or moving on to a new business. But ultimately, massive results, time, team, money, and marketing. And today we're going to be spending a lot of time here, destination mastery, making sure that we get this right. And this is what goal setting is all about. So what is a goal? Very seemingly simple question. Again, if you can, just a couple of notes in the chat box. What do you think a goal is? Any ideas? What is a goal? question marks if you don't know, that's okay as well. We're all here to learn and be vulnerable. A deliverable action, what you want to achieve, yeah. An ambition for a business, partially, we'll get onto this. Okay, thank you. So before going on to a goal, people can confuse a goal with a vision or a task, and not able to define what a goal is. So let's explore this a little bit. What is a vision, and do you have one? Now, this is quite a big question, and if you don't have a vision for your business, it's okay, but it's definitely something worth considering. The vision is essentially the big picture. A really good story to define a vision is in the 60s, I believe, JFK announced to America, which essentially meant announcing to the world that in 10 years, that America was going to put a man on the moon. And he basically said, look, we're going to put a man on the moon in 10 years, and I want everyone who's capable of helping us do this to come forward so that we can make this big vision come true. And that was it. That was the vision. I'm putting a man on the moon. There were no details. There was nothing more than that. But this big picture was so inspiring, and it motivated so many people that hundreds and thousands of people stepped forward in some way, shape or form to try and help make this happen. And they did. The idea was that it would enroll and inspire people. And I believe there's a great story that when JFK visited NASA, he was speaking to a cleaner there, and he said to the cleaner, look, what do you do? And the cleaner, rather than saying I'm a cleaner, the cleaner said, I'm helping to put a man on the moon, because he was so inspired by this vision that that's what his purpose was. That's why he was there. And a vision is very, very different to a goal, because it is supposed to enroll and inspire. And it's very important to understand that definition and to have that clarity between the two. So I'll give an example. This is my family business. Our vision was very, very simple: bringing people together with food. The family business saved my family because we were all going our own separate ways, and it brought our family together, and it was centered around food. So our vision was to bring as many people together as we could with food. So just take a second or so to write down any notes or light bulbs that are going off in your head about vision, and actually if you have a vision for your business. Because if you do, that is something that you will use to enroll and inspire your staff, enroll and inspire your customers. So just a quick note on that. So in its simplest form, what is a goal? A goal is this: a stepping stone to the vision. That is it. The goal is a stepping stone to a vision. I'm going to ask you all to play a very, very simple game with me. There's no tricks or anything, but just please do play along. What you see here is Google Maps. So imagine that you are in your car and we are all going on a road trip. It's a very big car. We're all going on a road trip and we're using Google Maps. Answers in the chat box for this one, please. Let's say the app is loaded up on your device. What is the first action that you have to take in order to get Google Maps working? Answers in the chat box, please. Put in your destination. Yeah, set the destination. Yeah, spot on. You put your destination into Google Maps, you hit go, and then it throws up the blue route. You select the route that you want to go on, and away you go. Now, let's say we're on our way and we decide to pull off for a coffee. We've obviously gone off route, but once we set off again and we say resume, resume route, what does Google Maps do? Answers in the chat box, please. It reroutes you, yeah. Reroutes you. And you still end up in the exact same destination that you were going to in the first place. Yeah, so you've set Google Maps, you've pulled off, had a coffee, you set off again, and it reroutes you back to where you were going. Now, the reason I'm sharing this analogy with you is your goal for your business or for your personal life is like the postcode or the destination in your sat nav. Because if we don't have a postcode in the sat nav, where are we going to end up? an answer to this in the chat box, please, because I am asking you. If we do not have a postcode in the sat nav, where are we going to end up? Nowhere. Yeah, precisely. Anywhere. Yeah, going in circles, hoping for the best, somewhere else, but we're not going to go where we want to go to. And so I'll re-emphasize the fact that your goal in your business is the postcode in your sat nav. So just to emphasize how important this is, if we say that we're going from London to Scotland, and in the sat nav we put London to Scotland, it will start us somewhere in London and we will end up somewhere in Scotland, which is very different to us saying, I'm starting off at St. Paul's Cathedral and I wish to end up in Edinburgh Castle. A very specific start point, a very specific end point. And likewise with your goals, it's very important that you get specific, because if you start off in a vague, if you don't know your current situation and it's very vague, that makes things more difficult. And if you don't know where you're going, it's very vague, you're going to end up in a very vague situation. So you want to start getting quite specific, which I will get onto momentarily. So with goals and planning, what is involved? How does this work? So with regard to goals, there's different types that you can set. So there's long-term goals, 6 to 10 years plus. This can include things like succession, exit, retirement, legacy, listing on the stock market. These are very long-term goals for your business. You've got medium-term goals, 2 to 5 years. Short-term goals, 1 year, 12 months. 90-day plans, which is quarterly. Jason, something that you mentioned earlier, your quarter's getting full up, but actually having a plan for the quarter. And then when you start to get to kind of elite ninja levels, you start to set weekly goals and daily goals. If you've never done this before, or you've tried and it's not quite worked out, the recommended start point is here. Set a short-term 12-month goal, ideally links to a vision. If you don't have a vision, then that's okay, but set a 12-month goal and then break it down into quarters. So the first quarter is already underway, 2 weeks of the year is already gone. So we've got 10 weeks left, I think, of this particular quarter. And the way that this works is that you've started, you've stated the goal for the next 12 months, you've chopped it up. And the idea of the quarterly goal is to move you one step forward towards achieving the bigger goal that you've got. And we do coach on this extensively. It's one of the first things that we coach on, purely because it's so important. And it doesn't matter how many years we've been working with clients. I still get coached on this as well, that we always start conversations on a very quick review of your goals, because we need to know where we're going. It's the postcode in the sat nav. So just again, make a quick note in your notebook about some ideas that you may have around setting a short-term goal. And if you've done a short-term goal already, if you've written a short-term goal already, maybe think about how you can break that up into quarters. Now, if you've not done this before, or you have and it's not quite worked out, what types of goals can you set? So this often gets missed out, especially when you're in business, and if this is all your life is. Personal goals. If you remember in the slide earlier, one of my goals was to actually have a holiday, and I hit that goal straight away because it was something that was so important to me. But think about setting some personal goals: health, income, holidays. Maybe you want to work fewer hours. Maybe you want to increase the happiness that you're feeling in your life. How can you define that as a goal? This is a very big concept, but if it resonates, please make a note of it and explore it further, or speak to me afterwards about it. But use the personal goals to live and design a life that you want. It's entirely possible to live a life that you want and how you want that life to be, but you have to design it. Other goals for your business could be financial goals, so revenue, profits, cash. We'll go on to this slightly later on, because it's really important for the business, especially when we talk about profitability later on. Other goals could be around sales, marketing, number of new customers, systems in your business. Maybe a goal could be creating a new automated system, teams. Maybe you want to improve your retention in your business. How can you set a goal around that? These are just some examples. It's not an exhaustive list, but just to give you an idea of where you can go with this. So how do you actually go about practically making this happen? So we start, if you want to make a note of anything, please do this particular statement. Start with the end in mind. Just that one statement. Start with the end in mind. It's the sat nav analogy. You have to start with your postcode. Okay? You ask yourself, where do you want to be in 12 months? What does that look like? And then what do you think you do? Just some ideas in the chat box. If you're starting with the end in mind, what happens next? Plan your actions, break it into chunks, map out how to get there, plan a strategy. Yeah, all of these are along the right lines. Check where you are. Absolutely. You want to ensure you know where you're starting from. But you start with the end in mind and you work backwards. The idea is that we simplify everything that we're doing. We know what our postcode is, and then you work backwards, i.e. you get the route using the Google Maps analogy. So a simple way to do this now, and if you're going to take actions, is ask yourself this question: what are your top 3 priorities for Q1 currently, before you stepped into this webinar today? And then possibly review that and ask yourself, how are they going to lead you towards your end goal, your postcode in the sat nav? And if they're not going to lead you there, maybe it's time to rethink those 3 priorities for the quarter. And I think 3 is a good number purely because any more than that, and it can start to feel overwhelming because you've got your day-to-day life to live and your day-to-day business to run. A really important question when defining what your priorities are is what is going to have the maximum impact right now in your business and in your life. What's going to move you forward the most? There's a really famous book called Eat That Frog. Some of you may or may not have read it. And he just talks about the biggest task, most impactful task being a frog that you eat first thing in the morning. So start with the end in mind, work backwards, choose your top 3 priorities for the quarter and put everything into achieving those goals. Who's heard of SMART goals? Just a yes or no in the chat box. Yes, yes, yes. Everyone. A handful of people know. Okay, so this is the time to commit. Okay. If you're going to do this and you want to do it really well, you want to make a difference. This is not easy, by the way. It seems simple, but it's not easy. It takes work and you have to work on this every day. So SMART goals. Your goal has to be very specific, and I'll share an example of this momentarily. But your goal has to be very, very specific. It can't be, I want to go to Scotland. It has to be, I want to go to Edinburgh Castle. It has to be measurable. How can you measure that? I want to reach Edinburgh Castle by 10 a.m. on Monday, the 15th of February. Is it achievable? So when I say achievable, this is not to say make small goals and limit your mindset. No, not at all. But it's also got to be something that you can actually achieve, because without achieving it, it's going to make you feel terrible. And I was very guilty of this early on, that I used to set these really unachievable goals, you know, especially my family business. We just started off and I'd say, well, I'm going to do £10 million worth of sales in 2 years. I've got no idea how I'm going to do that. And of course it didn't happen. And so that was the wrong goal because it wasn't achievable. Is it realistic? And finally, is it time-based? So all of your goals really must tick these boxes. If you want to to have a little line, a little sentence that reminds you of this, is that when you set your goal, follow it up by saying, this will be measured by. So this will be measured by. Add that onto the end of your goal. And that should hopefully help you make it a SMART goal. So why people fail to hit goals and how you can avoid making the same mistakes. So vague versus specific goals. My goal is to get fit in 2023, a very vague goal. Just some ideas on how can we make this a SMART goal. Answers in the chat box, please. How can we make my goal is to get fit in 2023? Break it down, lose 5 kilos. Yeah, we're getting there. That's a bit more like it. I will run a 10K in October. Yeah, that's really good. Set an end date. Yeah. Any other ideas? How can we make my goal is to get fit in 2023 a SMART goal? Why is it not a SMART goal? Maybe that's a better question to ask. Why is my goal is to get fit in 2023? Why is that not? Yeah, what is fit? How do you define that? Exactly. So here's a very simple way of making it a SMART goal. My goal is to run 10K by December 2023. I will run 3 times 40 minutes a week for 50 weeks, starting on this date. Now, how is the goal that you see on the right different to the goal that you see on the left? How is that different? Yeah, it's pretty much a SMART goal. It's specific, it's measurable, it's got dates in there. I would say it's pretty achievable. Now, possibly if you were to break this down into a quarterly goal, let's say you've never done any form of running before, maybe 3 times 40 minutes a week is too much. Maybe it's going to be 3 times 10 minutes a week for the first couple of weeks of the year. So that would need some work. Has anyone heard of something called the RAS, the reticular activating system? I had no idea what this is, by the way, so I'll be really surprised if anyone else has. No. No, good. Well, good. It makes me feel better because I had absolutely no idea what this is, but it's very, very cool. It's very cool. So the RAS, and actually not activating this is a major reason why people fail at achieving their goals. And we all have this, by the way. We all have a RAS. It's called the reticular activating system, and it works like this. Do not think of a red bus. Do not think of a red bus. Think of anything else. Do not think of a red bus. What are you thinking of? So do not think of a red bus. Red bus. Anyone else thinking of a red bus? Blue elephant. Most people would think of a red bus. If you and I are walking down the road together, we've had a coffee and we're walking down the road in central London, and I say to you, do not think of a red bus, more likely than not, what you're going to see is a red bus. So where this comes from is apparently from when we were cave people, it was to do with survival. So we as humans have the ability to get very, very focused on one thing when we put all of our focus and energy onto it. So at that time, it was about survival. So we need to go and find berries, we need to go and hunt, so let's go and get food. We would go out and that's what we would focus in on. We would be aware of dangers, but our focus was getting food. We'd get food and we'd come back. Now today, it's not so simple. We are constantly bombarded with information, with disturbances, with interferences, and it's very, very difficult to stay focused. And so the reason people often fail at their goals is because they are not setting their RAS with regard to their goals. Normally they write it down and they forget about it. or it might be on their device and they forget about it. But at a minimum, how often do you think you should be looking at and reading your goals if you want to give yourself any chance of achieving them? Answers in the chat box. How often do you think, as a minimum? Daily? Daily? Yeah, I mean, at a bare minimum, weekly, but if you can do daily, that is the absolute best. And the idea is that actually you have this written down, you go old school with it, it's out of your head, it's down on paper, and then that way you have to put zero energy into trying to remember what your goals are. Because in your head, it gets mixed up with what you saw on TV last night, the fact that you fancy a coffee, that you and I are having this conversation right now, it gets mixed up with everything else. But when it's out of your head, down on paper, takes zero energy, and you're constantly being reminded, your RAS is being activated about your goal. And it's only by activating that and staying front and center, are you able to make it happen. So this is probably, I think, the biggest reason I see people fail at their goals, and why I failed so much at my goals. Who is watching your performance? Who is monitoring your performance? Because typically when you're the business owner and you're kind of like top of the food chain, you've got no one to be answerable to. And who is tracking the performance that you have set for yourself in your business with regard to your goals? Now, if you've got a team and you set goals for your team and you set KPIs for your team, it becomes your responsibility to watch them, but who is watching you? Now, we do, again, we coach on this extensively purely because it's so powerful and that it does work. And that's part of what a coach does is the coach will hold the person that they're working with accountable to the goals that they've set and make sure that they are the right goals that they're setting. Roger Federer, any top sports person that you think of, immediately after their game, after their performance, what do you think they do with their coach? What do you think that they will do after the game or after their performance with their coach?
Review it.
Yeah, they'll review. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to review their performance. They have to track their performance against the goals, against the metrics that they'd set, because without doing that, how are they going to know whether they've done well or not so well? How are they going to know where they can improve? And likewise with yourselves and the goals that you set yourself, whether they're personal goals or business goals, if you're not tracking this, if you're not working with someone to measure your performance and watch your performance, it's going to become very, very challenging to ensure that you're able to do it yourself. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be a business coach. Maybe you've got a friend, maybe you've got a mentor that you can work with, but you need someone to hold you accountable, because without that accountability, it's so easy to let it slip and to let it slide. So those are the three main reasons I've seen that we now know through experience that people fail to hit their goals. And I will recap that very quickly because it's so important. So people set vague versus specific goals. So we want to make sure the goals that you set are specific, SMART goals. RAS, you want to have them written down, visible at all times, so you can remind yourself of your goals. And then finally, you want to be tracking your performance against those goals in one way or another, ideally with some kind of coach, mentor, someone that's going to help you. Could even be a colleague if you're willing to be that open with your colleague. So I'm about to move into the last piece of the webinar on profitability in your business, which is a massive part of any business. And it's what I'm going to share with you. Please do make notes of this. It's super important. But before I do, are there any initial questions or thoughts on goal setting, anything that you're unclear of? Because we can address this slightly later on, and we can just refer back to the chat box. Answers in the chat box. If no, just put no. If there are, just jot them down. Just wait for a couple of responses. Clear so far? Anyone else? No questions at the moment? Okay, no problems. We'll move on. So The most powerful strategy you can use to increase profits and cash flow right now in your business. This is definitely one of those, take notes, you're going to want to write this down. And for me, again, you know, you got the brain exploding emoji on your phone when you're using WhatsApp. That was me pretty much every session. It was just when I started learning this stuff and applying it to my businesses now, which is very powerful. So we call it the 5 ways. The 5 ways to increase your business profits. It's called the 5 ways method. And these are the components of the 5 ways: number of leads, conversion rate, number of customers, transactions, average pound value, turnover, margin, profits. Now, what do you think is the difference between the elements in white and the elements in yellow? What's the difference between those two? What's the difference between the elements in white and the elements in yellow? Again, if you don't know, question marks are fine. Results of the other two, unknown over known. One is input, one is output. Yeah, exactly. Spot on. The items in yellow are outcomes, they're results. They're almost irrelevant. So if you've thought about your goals and you've thought about, I want to increase my number of customers, I want to increase my turnover, I want to increase my profits, probably not the right goals to be looking at because they are results. The 5 ways, the 5 metrics that we can control are the number of leads, conversion rate, number of transactions, pound value, and margin in your businesses. Now, I have to be honest, I never tracked any of this stuff. I didn't know what any of this stuff was, and I never tracked it. And I'd been in business for a couple of years. And so you may be in the same boat where you've never looked at any of these metrics, and now's the time to start, because now that you know it, it's going to become a choice whether you track them or not. So let's work through an example together. Let's say we have a business and it generates 4,000 leads a year. Just to make sure we're all on the same page, what's everyone's definition of a lead? What is a lead? Answers in the chat box, please. What is a lead? Sales inquiry. Any other definitions? What is a lead? A new inquiry. New contact, an opportunity. Yeah, exactly that. A lead is simply someone putting their hand up and saying, I'm interested in what you do. That's it, no more than that, okay? So this particular business that we've got here together generates 4,000 leads a year, 4,000 people saying, I'm interested. Our conversion rate is 25%. So that means out of those 4,000 customers, 25% end up buying from us, which means we have 1,000 customers. Now, this particular business, I don't know, let's say we sell really high-end water bottles and they cost £100, £100 a time. And every year people buy 2 water bottles from us. And every time they spend £100. So this business gives us a turnover of £200,000. So the way that works, 1,000 customers buying from us twice, almost like 2,000 customers, spending £100 each time gives us a turnover of £200,000. Now, in this particular business, let's say we've got a profit margin of 25%. Okay, this means that this business makes £50,000. Nice little business. Now, why is it so important to be tracking those particular metrics? What would a 10% increase in all areas give you? So again, let's play the game. Let's use an example. If you increase the number of leads coming into your business by 10%, so only 400 new leads, that gives you 4,400 leads. So let's say we've improved the marketing that we're putting out there, a few more activations, whatever it is, but we're getting more leads coming through the door. We've increased our conversion rate also by 10%, so an additional 2.5%. We're just that little bit better at converting leads to a sale. Maybe we've improved our sales scripts, maybe the training's better, whatever activations have taken place, but we've improved our conversion rate. What do you think that does to the number of customers for the year? What do you think the number becomes? Use a calculator if you want to, or you can make an assumption. What's that number of customers go to? Number of leads up 10%. Conversion rate up 10%. What do you think happens to the number of customers? More. Does it go up 10%? Number of customers up 10%? Actually, it's more than that. The number of customers goes up 12.1%. Now, the reason this happens is the power of compounding. Now, remember, look, if you look at the example here, our leads have gone up 400 leads, so 4,400. The conversion rates also increase. Now it's 4,400 times 27.5%, which is giving us 1,210 customers a year, so an extra 200 customers. Now we're going to leverage the power of compounding again. So we've got more customers. We've increased the number of transactions that they're doing with us throughout the course of the year. They're actually spending a little bit more money each time with us as well. And our turnover doesn't increase by 10%. The turnover goes up by £92,000, just compounding. 10% increase across 4 of those measurable metrics. Now let's play the game again. Let's say we increase the margin by 10%, possibly reducing the costs, possibly in other ways, but we're increasing our profit margin by 10%. Again, the profit margin doesn't go up by only £5,000. It goes up £30,000 in the business. So by increasing 10% across those 5 measurables, leads to an increase of 46% in your turnover, 61% in your profits. So now, if we go back to some of the goals that you might be thinking about setting for your business, let's say you've got a turnover goal, you've got basically an outcome goal. Are they the right goals to be setting for your business? Possibly not. It might be worth thinking about setting goals around these 5 metrics in your business instead. So which should you tackle first? Remember, the items in pink on this particular page are the results. So they're almost irrelevant. But which should you tackle first? If you're going to spend some time working on this in your business, where should we start? Leads? Where else? Number of leads? Anyone else? Average sale, okay. Prices, can you clarify? Prices, what does that mean? Oh, average sale value, that means, right, leads. Margin and number of transactions, Nicola, spot on. The starting point is your margins. The reason for that is because you can literally do this overnight. You can increase your prices 10% overnight, and hardly anyone, no one is going to really bat an eyelid if you increase your prices by 10% overnight. It doesn't cost you anything. It's the quickest thing that you can do, and it's going to instantly increase the profits in your business. Then we start to look at the conversion rate. Again, a very low-hanging fruit. Look at how you can increase the conversions from the leads that you're already getting, the database that you've already got, people that have shown interest but maybe never done business with you. How can you go back to them and convert them? Then you look at your average pound value, then you look at your number of transactions, and finally, leads. The reason leads are the last point for you to start from is because they're the most expensive. They take the most time, effort, energy, money. Everything else is low-hanging fruit and practically free within your own business. Now, if you're a startup and you've got no leads, yes, you will have to invest in generating leads, but you can always look at these other metrics along the way. As always, when I host these webinars, I'd like to offer every single person that's here today a gifted 1-hour coaching to work through your business and any specific challenges that you might be facing. If you want to work through your goals in more detail, I'm willing to offer an hour's gifted coaching. If you saw value in what we did today, if any light bulbs went off, And if anyone is interested in this, could you possibly just put a yes in the chat box just so that I know, and we can make that happen. Yes. 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 Okay. Okay. What I'll do, bear with me 1 second. Let me just share a link with you for the moment. Yeah, it looks easy. Easy does not mean, sorry, simple does not mean easy. But it does look easy, yes, for sure. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so if you look in the chat box at the moment, I've shared a link. There's 2 parts to that link. The first one is just your basics, name, number, and email address. The second part is the most important part. Please take some time to fill this in now if you wish. The second part is the most important part. This is where you will outline your top 3 frustrations in the business, where you are at the moment, and it will help either myself or one of my fellow coaches to start building a strategy to help you when we have our session. So please use that link. That's available for you. It's a gifted coaching, as I said, no charge for it at all. And if any of you use social media, this is my Instagram. Normally, when I connect with people on Instagram, they send me messages, direct messages, and I send them voice notes back, any challenges that they're facing. So if you use Instagram, feel free to scan this, connect with me on there. And yeah, we can talk, stay connected, talk business, and take it from there. And before we go, thank you very much for your participation today. It always means a lot. It means I'm not just here talking at a screen where no one's listening. It means that everyone's engaged. So thank you so much. I hope today was of value to you. If you wouldn't mind, and you feel comfortable sharing, what would you say was the biggest light bulb that went off in your mind during today's session, if any? Hopefully there were some light bulbs, but if there was anything that went off in your mind, please do feel free to share it in the chat box. The RAS, yeah, that was huge for me. Anyone else? Any other light bulbs? Accountability. Yeah, accountability. Oh my God, massive. Great. Awesome. Well, I am finished with the presentation. Bear with me 1 second. Normally what I like to do, if everyone wants to, I'm happy to run over by 10 or 15 minutes. Feel free to share your screens. And also, if you've got any questions or you want to have a discussion about anything specific in your business at the moment, we can do that also. Hang on. But thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kuldip. I'll start actually as while everyone's getting the courage to turn on their microphones. I'm sure there's
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
I thought I was such good content. I've worked in sales and business development for 11 years, and I thought I was pretty good until I saw some of your slides, and I completely forget that when I'm building a strategy, I need to do it in much smaller chunks and stop looking at the end goal. And I think the light bulb moment for me, which I'll share, was I mean, they always say the last bit is the bit you remember, but it was one of the last bits you mentioned about the priorities on making more margin, etc. Or in my case, it's actually meeting target. Every year, my boss increases the target by 5 or 10%. My first thing to do is, right, we need more leads. Let's get the sales execs doing this. I always go to that last thing first. But actually, the smartest way for me to work is probably just to bump up my rate card by 5%, and no one's going to know.
Yeah, no one. It's insane how powerful that is. Like with Mr. Singhs, like we moved on to doing chili crisps, and like we were like, oh, let's just try it. Like let's just see what happens, and like no one bat an eyelid. There's always those 1 or 2 people that are like really, you've increased your prices, but majority, 90% of people don't mind. But the other thing I thought was really powerful was the conversion rate thing, because oftentimes what happens is we've got without knowing it, somewhere in unless you've got it in a spreadsheet, most of the time it's in emails or in your DMs, but you've got a database of prospects already that someone has shown interest in what you're doing. They've inquired with you, but they never did anything with you business-wise. And that list is just left to like do nothing. Like, how often are those people being marketed to? How often are you kind of reaching out to them with a phone call and saying, look, we've got something on, you showed interest at one point, come and do something with us, you know? And again, that doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
You've already paid for that to happen because the leads come in. Now it's just a case of converting people that have already shown interest in what you do.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much for that.
No, my pleasure. I love sharing the 5 ways because, like, for me, it was so profound. Like I said, it was just all the time. Anyone else? Any other like specifics that you'd like to talk about that you're facing in your business at the moment? If not, I mean, you feel free to leave. But
come on, Marissa, you're a profound sales professional. You work to massive budgets and targets. You must have something.
I think you're on mute. Yes, no.
Oh, there we go. No, the five ways was just like, oh yeah, it's cool, but oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely, especially with larger. I mean, like you said, like with larger businesses. I do work with a couple of clients that are can't unmute. Martin, yeah, especially when I work with larger businesses, it's just really interesting how these simple things are overlooked just because they're not front and center. And like you said, Jason, sometimes you just set targets to increase X.
Yeah,
the way you go, just sometimes out of sheer panic, like, right, I'm going to go for it, and that's it. Martin, you should be off mute now.
Yeah, I would just say that it's interesting. I work for sort of business that does sort of fairly high-end security, and it's a competitive business, competitive world out there, as it is with so many things. And you know, with the sort of extra costs and overheads and so on and so forth, there's always a talk about putting your prices up, and there's always a big concern at the sort of, you know, high level and board meetings about how to what level you put them up. And normally putting them up a lot kind of wins the day, and because it's competitive, you worry about, you know, what the ramifications of that are, and actually the reality is it makes no difference whatsoever. And then of course you cover your costs, you put your profit margins up, hopefully because of that, but it's always quite a frightening thing to do in a way, because if you're in a competitive world. So, you know, so it's very poignant, I think, very pertinent what you say in that respect, and actually I rather agree with you, so I just wanted to make that point, really.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But let me ask a question actually to everyone. How many of us are in a competitive space? How many of us operate in a competitive industry? Everyone. Like literally every single person in business operates in a competitive industry. There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's what, 70 million in the UK alone. So we all operate in competitive market spaces. And so I mean, I've covered this in previous webinars where, like, if it does come down to price and people are questioning price, the question to then ask yourself is, are you really communicating your value and selling your product on value? Or are you selling on price? Because if you sell on price, and I think the supermarkets are probably the best example of this, it becomes a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Who can do it the cheapest? And if you're the cheapest in the market, or if it's a race to the bottom, how long is your business going to last?
But yeah, if you prove you can offer good value for money, then actually it's fine.
Yeah, and you know, Marissa, and you know, 5-star hotels, you know, you could probably lend a lot of experience and knowledge in this space, because that's what, you know, your business is all about, is on value and customer experience, and very rarely is it about price. And you may have offers and things like that, but It's all about the experience that the customer goes through, how you stay connected to them, the guarantees that you offer, all these different things. But again, we do coach on this type of stuff very, very extensively, just because it's so powerful and it does work. But yeah, I'm happy to take any more questions or anything specific that people want to work on. But otherwise, thank you everyone for today.
Thank you very much indeed. Well
Great.
done.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much. Hopefully I can stay connected with you all, and we'll host something else quite soon, maybe an in-person one, I don't know, but Alicia, Nicola will speak and catch up. Cool. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much,
Bye.
Colin. Thanks for your time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Yep, take care. Thanks a lot.